welcome to another episode of NSE Finviz powered by CNBC TV 18. This week we're in Bengaluru and we catch up with the employees at the country's only backward integrated real estate company, Sobha Limited. Sobha Limited is one of the largest and only backward integrated real estate players in the country. Headquartered in Bangalore, Sobha is primarily focused on residential and contractual projects. The company's residential projects include residential apartments, villas, row houses, luxury and super luxury apartments. Widening the scope of its operations from mere real estate and construction, the company recently added 3 manufacturing divisions to the business: glazing and metalworks, concrete products and interiors. Sobha is in its 20th year of operations and over the course of 2 decades has become a recognized and trusted brand in the market, which is associated with high-end quality products. Focusing on our theme for the series, NSE Finviz visited Sobha Limited in Bangalore to gauge thoughts and notions of the young employees on investments and financial planning.
See, the investments which I've made so far have mainly been for the purpose of tax planning. So I've not really invested in the real sense.
Investments point of view, I started my investment for the last 5 to 6 years with a smaller amount. Started with some kind of an insurance first of all, and started investing something in the gold aspect. Now started doing in the last couple of years like an SIP or mutual funds kind of stuff.
As an employee, my investment portfolio gives preference to tax saving schemes, and right now from this year I started investing in national pension scheme. So apart from that, my main allocation is in debt bonds because I faced some negative result in 2008 recession when I invested in equity, and some amount in mutual funds, SIP.
I would like to ask him one question. Which will give me guarantee returns? I don't, because see, and then if you or me, anybody invests, they would expect extra money only, not lose the money. What is that? Can anybody tell us saying that which will be the right place or right thing where you tell yes, you invest here, you'll get it. I know you can't expect short time returns. It takes 5-6 years also okay, but can anybody guarantee us saying that yes, you invest here 200%, but that might happen, might not happen. If some financial expert can help us out there, that would be really great.
Well, we are now joined by our 2 very special experts. First up, we have Uday Doot, who's the Deputy CEO, International Money Matters. Welcome, Uday. And we have Anil Rego, who's the founder and CEO, Right Horizons. Welcome to the show. Anil, first question to you. You know, when somebody starts their financial planning, their personal financial planning, what are some of the first few baby steps or some of the basic foundations that they need to keep in mind when they start off?
Yeah, I think the first part is to actually look at what your needs are. And maybe at initial years, we may not be sure what they are. It could be, just a vehicle that you need to buy. But as time goes by, you will want to, let's say, plan for your children's education. You'll want to plan for your retirement. So the first step in financial planning is to actually understand your needs. The second step is obviously, then getting back into seeing that, okay, what are my priorities? Then you go back again and say, can I put some values to it? If it is, let's say, children's education, maybe I want to plan for 10 lakh of rupees, and I want it maybe 7 years from now. So I need to set that in, put in inflation, and then you know what is it that you need to plan for. Put all of them together, and the final step would be to try and match your cash flows. Okay, so now you have income, you have projected income, and then you see, are you actually able to meet your financial goals? And if you're not, then you probably need to look at ways to either enhance income or to relook at your goals and say, am I being very aggressive?
Okay. What is inflation? In simple layman terms, because we read it in the papers, we watch it on the news, but for a layman, what is inflation?
So for layman, inflation is like this. When I came into Bangalore 14 years back, used to get masala dosa at some 15 bucks or something. Right now it's some close to 30 rupees a dosa. So that is inflation for us, and it is happening across the board. Not only food, whether today you go out for a movie with the family, you end up spending 2,500 rupees watching movie. All this is basically inflation. I think 2 biggest parts in inflation today are, one is education, the other is health cost. both are rising far more rapidly than any other expenses, and something which we really need to plan for. Why? Because all of us want best education for our kids, which is why you need to start planning for it way ahead in advance. Second, I think as an economy we are developing, I think the life stage that people are going to live, life is getting longer, life expectancy is increasing, which means that we are going to live longer. Whether we are going to be healthy or not healthy, that's a different matter altogether, but we are definitely going to live longer, which means you need to seriously plan for your health cost. Your medical insurance that your company provides is just not going to be sufficient. You need to have a lot more than that.
Okay, that's an important point on that. Anil, so you mentioned also about the difference between the cash flow, inflow, and the outflow. But before that, when we were talking about goal setting, how does one go about this? It's a moving target. So for example, I'm just out of college, first job, I want to buy a Royal Enfield. I'm trying to save that, but then I realized 2 years later that no, now I want to buy a car. And that's what gets daunting for people, because they're like, oh my God, it's a big task. How do you advise people on that? How do they overcome this daunting task?
Yeah, it's really daunting sometimes, especially in the initial years, because like I said, the goals are not crystal clear. But as one goes by, then you're sure, yeah, I need to plan for my children's education, retirement, their standard stuff. Of course, you may want a very nice retirement, so you can choose, whether you want to vacation or whatever. So initially, yes, it is daunting, but what you need to do is look back at what you're doing, check it every maybe 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
And then it sets you a benchmark, because even though sometimes the goals may not change, you may find that the values change. I thought children's education may cost so much. Okay, but 5 years from now, even with inflation, it's much higher, say. Okay, or there's something that I completely missed out. I went and suddenly bought another house, right? So there would be these changes, and you need not be daunted by it. I think just plan for it, look at it once in 3-4 years, and it'll be fine.
Okay. So on this note, I think let's go over to the audience. If you have any questions that you would like some clarity on.
The first question is how to build a strong portfolio which is very healthy. And second question is the difference between large cap, mid cap, and small cap. Okay.
Anil, first question to you, and Uday, second to you.
Sure. I think, for us to keep our bodies healthy, right, you need good nourishment. So the portfolio, first of all, I think needs good nourishment. It needs good cash flows in. So put as much as money as you can put in. If you are, earning on a monthly basis, I think salaried SIPs are a fantastic way of going about it. Look at a combination of avenues. Don't either go completely into real estate or completely into equities or completely into bank FDs. You need a combination of them. You may find at one point equity is doing extremely well. At some other point, maybe debt is the best performing asset, and maybe real estate is just stable. So you keep a combination of them, put in sufficient money, and follow a disciplined approach. I think that is the basic principles, I think, which will make you have a very healthy portfolio.
When you talk about difference between large cap, mid cap, and a small cap, it's always a relative term. There is no fixed definition saying that from here on it is mid cap and from here on it is large cap. But typically, what happens, we say that there are close to 2,500 odd companies which are listed in these stock exchanges. The top 100 companies are considered to be large caps, and then after that you have until your next 300 odd companies, 200 odd companies as mid cap, and companies below that as small caps. But now when you look at it, you talk to different people, you'll get different definitions. The important part, I think, more than getting this definition right for all of us as investment, is to understand, and just to add to what Anil was saying, is that I think a healthy portfolio, and to relate this question also, is that it's all about how well do you understand your own requirements.
On that note, it's time for a very short break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching NSE FinViz, powered by CNBC TV 18. Welcome back. You're watching NSE FinViz, powered by CNBC TV 18 Season 2.
As you said, so the investment can be diversified like SIP, mutual funds, insurance, whatever it may be. So that's what we did from last 4-5 years back. We diversified in SIP some portion in the gold, some portion in kind of insurance, tax saving plans, all those things. Certain investments like gold was really going out of our control, means it was not giving the return what SIP or some other investments like FDs which are giving that. So should we just wait for certain investments which are giving a negative return, or should we unlock that money and put it in a newer thing which is giving at least a minimum return like FD or mutual funds which are giving?
So, Anil, basically that, yeah.
So sure, it is actually important for you to diversify, and the whole objective of having these different assets is that they work at different times. If you look at it maybe a couple of years back, gold would have been just skyrocketing. If you had gold ETF on your stock portfolio, it would have been the best performing stock. Okay, so gold had its time based on certain factors. Again, now equity is the flavor of the market. So if you had started maybe 2 years back, 3 years back, while all the data was negative, this is a time when you unlock it.
Uday, when we were talking now while giving answers also to their questions, what is an SIP? People have used it, systematic investment plan, correct? But people very often confuse the SIP, mutual fund, equities. They're sometimes used interchangeably. But what are they?
So SIP is in what we are very much used to is a recurring deposit. How does a recurring deposit work? Is some amount of money on a regular basis goes in and gets invested in a FD. To do a similar thing in a mutual fund, you use the concept of SIP, which is basically systematic investment plan. Now, just because it's an SIP and it's a mutual fund, it does not mean that all your money is going into share or equity market. You can pretty much do an SIP in any kind of asset class within the mutual fund space that is available. So let's say you want to build a corpus, which is a corpus which you can get available say at the end of the year. So let's say you have a holiday that you plan to do at the end of the year. You want to save say 10,000 rupees per month for the next 12 months, and say at the end of 12 months I should be able to liquidate that money and go. So you want something which is very safe, which is liquid, still makes you money which is slightly better than your savings bank and possibly comparable to an FD. So you do an SIP in a liquid fund. So you can basically do an SIP in anywhere. Why an SIP should be done is that behaviorally, if I told you that there is a commitment that you are already on, saying that okay, on 31st your salary came in, on 1st the money will get out from your bank account, then the chances are very high that you will actually save that money. If instead the plan was saying that no, I will call you at the end of the month and say whatever surplus you have left, why don't you invest that? It does not happen. When it happens automatically, like our PF deduction, we don't even realize, and after 5 years, 6 years, and you say, oh, I have got a PF balance. So an SIP works in that same mode, saying that it makes you a lot more disciplined. It keeps you focused, saying that no, this much saving has to happen.
This is...
SIPs get it, but why can't I just go out directly buying equities on the Nifty or from the National Stock Exchange? Why should I go in and get into the hassle of a mutual fund? Because there are so many mutual funds. Again, that means now I have to decide which one to invest in. So why a mutual fund?
A mutual fund also, offers you the benefit of somebody monitoring it. Okay, if you are an expert and you are tracking stocks, you are able to pick stocks, look at industries, what is coming in, going out. If you have the time, then yes, definitely you can go and buy stocks. It would be cheaper. There's no fund management fee. But the point is, do you have that expertise and do you have the time to do it, and also the discipline. So if you do an SIP, it just happens automatically. You have fund managers looking at it and they are fighting with each other to actually deliver the best performance. It is visible. If you're doing it yourself, you may not even know whether you're making money or not. You tend to look at your best performing. This stock did very well, but the stock which actually completely went down, you would forget about it. So I think it's a whole lot of things, and it's definitely a good option for a common investor.
So would you suggest investment in NPS, National Pension Scheme? Another thing, how much you suggest investment in Mediclaim or the medical insurance?
Definitely, it's a good idea to use an NPS also because of the tax benefits that you have. Okay, so that what it does is you are deferring your tax, and you're putting it together at a time when you're at the highest tax rate, and you're probably taking it back as income at a time when it is low. The second good benefit of the NPS is also that it's a very low cost product. Okay, it's unimaginable. The cost of the product is really very low. So that's probably why not too many people are promoting it. But it's a good idea because it's a low cost product as well. And of course, don't overdo it because one is, when you get your money back, as per today's laws, it's taxable, number one. The second is you may not be able to have the flexibility within to, if you want 100% equity at one point of time when you are able to take risk, you may want to lower it to a very low one. You may not be able to take especially the higher levels of risk in your NPS.
The first things first is that it is always good to have a parallel medical insurance policy running along with your company group health. There are these new policies which have come up now, which are called super top-up policies, which basically add up to your existing health insurance policy and after a period automatically convert into a regular policy. So that is one. Why increase the sum assured, have a higher one? I think we all know the answer. I'm saying the hospitals have become 5-star facilities and to that extent it charges accordingly. Depending, and all of us know it. I'm saying your charges in the hospital depend in the room that you stay in. You stay in a general ward, you charge accordingly. You stay in a private room, you charge accordingly. So the expenses have pretty much kind of gone up.
This is NSE FinViz powered by CNBC TV 18. It's time for a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching NSE FinViz powered by CNBC TV 18.
Can you explain about how effectively we can do tax planning?
I would suggest that in initial years, a lot of investments can be routed towards tax saving. The second thing that you can do is how do I make it regular, because I may not be able to every year, let's say, put in this 1 lakh of rupees. Maybe my PF is some 20,000 rupees. I need to now plan for some 80,000 rupees every year, and it's illiquid. So I may not want all my money into assets which I cannot pull out in between. So tax saving, the small tip that I have there is you can actually also see how do you keep it in a 3-year rolling period. Let's say I invest for 3 years, and after that, the redemptions from it actually can help you, for your next tax saving.
That's about all the time we have. But Uday, Anil, before I let you go, we had a viewer send in a question. His name is Vinod. He's from Mumbai. He's 35 years old, and he says, I want to ensure I have enough money post my retirement. So he says, what will be the right amount and what are the options to invest now, taking into consideration inflation, children's education, annual holidays, etc., that I will need to spend on before retirement?
I think the first thing that Vinod needs to do is that he said that he has goals for kids' education, he has goals for holidays, he has goals for his retirement. And obviously all of them have to take inflation into consideration, all these goals. So that's the first thing first is that you need to know how much would you need for your kids' education. Are you going to send your daughter or son to a local college in India? Are you going to send that kid abroad for graduation or masters? That kind of determines what your cost is today. And then you build up inflation on that, so you know what your cost is actually 20 years later or 15 years later. That's on the kids' education. On the kids' education, the important part is the kids' education goal has to be met whether the person, the parent, whether it's in my case, whether I'm around or not around, my kids' education goal has to be met. My retirement goal does not require to be met if I'm not around, right? If I'm not there, there is no need for my retirement. So in kids' education, I need a savings plan. I also need an insurance plan. I need to have at least that 20, 30, 50 lakh rupees of insurance. So if something happens to me, also the goal is taken care of. If I'm there, I'll anyway save for that on a regular basis. For my retirement, I think the most important part today is that, and obviously something which is 20 years or 30 years forward, none of us will get it right today. But important is that look at your own lifestyle today and say, okay, I need today 50,000 rupees a month or 60,000 rupees a month or 1 lakh rupees a month to make sure that my lifestyle is good after taking out the EMIs, etc. Then obviously it's a small exercise of figuring out what that 1 lakh rupees would be 20 years, 30 years later, and then how much do you need to save for that, and then you do a backward calculation to figure it out. Where do you invest? You invest them in investments which are going to give you real rate of returns above inflation. So you look at, there are possibly 2 asset classes, possibly land in some manner and form and your equities in some manner and form. These are the investments that you need to look at through mutual funds or through NPS that you need to save.
Well, I hope, Vinod, we've been able to answer your question. On that note, thank you so much, Anil. Thank you, Uday, for being here with us. Thank you so much for having us here with you. Thank you.
just gave me the things like how to plan your investment, what are all the strategies which helps to analyzing about a company, which makes us very confidently get invested, and what would be the time period that I should be going on.
Actually, I will start investing. I will start planning, financial planning, which I understood what is the importance of that.
Here we learned even for a fresher who is going to enter the market, and as well as who are already there in the market. It was a very good platform to learn so many things like how to analyze or how to diversify our investment.
Well, that's all on this episode of NSE FinViz powered by CNBC TV 18 Season 2. But if you have any questions for our experts, please feel free to email us at fwq@network18online.com. Until next time, from the entire team, many thanks for watching.